Hello, and we're back. Welcome to the live stream show. And on this somewhat dismal, rainy day here in Boston, I don't know where it's like for you, but if I were able to pan my camera out my window here, you'd see nothing but gray. And to brighten up the day, we're going to talk about changes and this time of change and what does it take to make real change happen. And all of this, if you've been anything other than hiding under a rock during this last year, you have seen how the universe is telling us, hey, it's a time of change. And you have choices of how much you're going to resist and or go along with changes that are already here, that are already occurring. And so a lot of us are finding it hard and challenging just simply to keep up with all the changes around us. And of course, with all the changes that are around us, we need to do personal, individual change in our own life, in our own daily thing. And so whatever it is that you're facing, whether it's a health issue, whether it's a work issue, whether it's a family issue, change is, that we're in a time of change. And so the topic for today is how just tiny habits, something really small, can actually affect big change. So rather than looking at the time of change as this huge daunting task, maybe, just maybe, you could approach it in this way. They're going, oh, if I just do this one small thing and I turn it into a daily habit, if I turn it into a regular thing that I do, that could bring the change that I'm looking for. And to join me on this, I've brought Kim Barnes Jefferson, who is, we could call her a change agent, a change maker. And she's the founder of Fit Girl Magic, and she's the host of the Fit Girl Magic podcast. And I'm really pleased to have her here today. She also lives close by in Cambridge. It's just Cambridge and the town I live in, Arlington, are literally right next to each other. In fact, trivia history, Arlington used to be called West Cambridge. And I don't know why they changed the name, but they did it. So with all of that, let's get on with the show. Oops. Wait, I hit the button, but oh, that's so interesting. It says video not found. Huh. That's the first time that's happened. Okay, everyone, just wait. I can solve this. We're going to go in here. And we are going to find. There we go. Hang on. Oh, these technical challenges. When you're doing a live stream, this is a really great lesson. And I'm just going to model this, that even the best laid plans, even the best laid things that you've been counting on doing, well, it can still happen. So here we go. Let's try this. Oh, interesting. I can't show you my video. Oh, well, you'll just have to listen to the podcast version because I'll edit it in. So it has this little jingle that goes and then I come in voiceover saying, welcome to the live stream show, broadcasting live here in Boston. And we are punching together with the live stream pioneers that do all these amazing things just because it's live. So join me right now. How's that? Oh man, you'd think I recorded it myself. Okay, so anyway, here we are with my guest, Kim Barnes Jefferson. Welcome to the show, Kim.
Thank you. I want to give you 2 snaps up for remembering your intro. If you would have paid me $100 to say, Kim, what's your intro? I'd be like, I got 5 words of it.
Yeah, well, I've had a little practice, not in doing that, but one of the things that I love to practice, which I highly recommend if you're doing any kind of video or podcast style presentation, is that I practice regularly with an improv group. And this isn't to do like theater. Like I'm not actually interested in performing or especially trying to be funny on comedy improv. I don't care about any of that. This group that I practice with is called Interplay, and it's really almost a kind of therapy. I mean, we get
Mm.
together and we go through all these exercises, which is mostly about being asked to take a certain kind of risk and
Mm.
then push through that and actually show up and do something that is like not you. Like maybe
Ah, yeah, yeah.
you're asked to act like, for me, a pregnant woman or whatever. And what I love about it is that unexpected things happen all the time. So
Mm.
you get in a scene with someone, or you're getting in a conversation with someone, and you're doing this little improv thing, and they'll say or do something that, in the parlance of improv, they'll make an offer, and the rule
Mm.
is you have to accept the offer, whatever it is.
Ah,
And so you have to go with the thing. Like, and it's great. This is actually a great segue into our topic today in terms of change. Change
yeah.
happens in the dialogue, and then you have to go, okay, well, this is, now we're talking about frogs. So, if I respond by saying, no, 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 I'm not going to talk about frogs, I'm going to talk about gorillas, that's a complete block. So
Right.
I have
Or
to
you
do
have to
something.
find a way. Yeah, you
I
have
have
to
to make
find that
something
segue.
right to talk about how make something possible for frogs to work in whatever it is that we're doing.
Yeah,
As
yeah, yeah.
it's just one thing. So anyway, that practice has helped me out in so many ways, including our topic today, which is being not only more accepting of change, but more willing to like
Mm.
jump in and accept the risks and be bolder and be able to try something that I don't know what the outcome will be, and when it's new and it is in fact some big new change. So there you are. So to start us off, first of all, let's just get a little clearer for people who are watching us today and or listening in the future on the podcast. Just tell us in like, a minute or so who you are, what you do, what's your reason for being, especially with the Fit Girl Magic thing that you're up to.
So my name's Kim Barnes Jefferson, and my reason for being is that probably about 6 years ago, my body just literally gave me the finger, and I didn't know what to do about it. And when I went to my doctor, she, gave me a bunch of pat answers that I was like, this doesn't make any sense. And I was like, you know what? Other people are like me who probably are having the same thoughts, same conversations, doing all the right things. And I was like, you know what? I need to show them what they need to do, that it's not just, these quick fixes, these quick pat answers. And that's how Fit Girl Magic came about.
Yeah, okay. So when you say your body gave you the finger, how, how exactly did that manifest? Like, what does that even feel like when that's happening?
So yeah, so like many people, the diet industry tells us in order to lose weight, you need to exercise more and eat less. And so, I was doing all the things, and I was not eating sugar and gluten and dairy and all, doing all the things. And my body was just, you know, whispering that, but my ego was like, go, 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 go. And it just finally was like, I can't anymore. And, my hormones gave out on me, my adrenals gave out on me. And I finally just had to like surrender. And as we talk about change, I had to change what I was doing because what I was currently doing was not sustainable. And my body finally was like, please stop.
Yeah. So, okay. And so what if, this is an interesting journey. I mean, anyone who's, I would say anyone who's over the age of 32 has noticed changes in their
Mm.
body as they keep getting older and older. And I'm well beyond 32, so I've seen lots of change. And so, in your experience, what are some of the things that you've learned on this path? Like, if the standard thing of do more, eat less isn't working, what were some of the things that you actually did do or didn't do? To to have your body be embracing you instead of getting mad at you.
Well, the first thing it's we talk about change. So like I had to change. It was hard as all get out because we are our habits, right? Like this was my schedule. This is what I did. And to break that was just like, trying to steal like your like firstborn from you. Like, and so I had to just kind of say, you know what? I'm sick of feeling bad. And so if me taking these smaller steps is going to make me feel better, I have nothing to lose, right? I had to look at it as an experiment. Like back in science class, like you did an experiment. The teacher knew what the outcome was, but you didn't. And you just, put all the ingredients together and kept your fingers crossed that you got the right answer. And so that's what I had to do. And so through that, I came up with what I called like my reps, right? I had to work my reps and stop doing what everybody else was doing. Stop like, peeking around the corner, looking for the next thing that I thought would give me the results. Like I had to finally do Kim and not whatever anyone else was doing. And so I had to think about it, like, in my life, like what felt realistic for me, like in this moment. We all have our seasons, and in the season that I was in, what felt realistic for me. And, I had to get clear about what it is that I wanted. So many people don't take the time to like pause from the busy to think about what is it that they want. Like, and I'm, yeah, we're talking health and fitness. That's like my jam, but also in your life, right? What do you want for your job? What do you want for a relationship versus just being in that like grind of doing. And I had to make choices based on where I was and be realistic about it. Own it. And then I moved into I had to be excited about it. There were plenty of times that I would like tell myself I had to be on the Stairmaster for 1 hour. And wasn't I excited? No, no, I wasn't excited. So I had to start doing things that made me excited, that made me look forward to it. And again, excitement works both on any level of your life. You have to be excited about it or you're not going to want to do it. And I had to connect it. There had to be, a why, right? Every time I say that, I'm like, I know, I roll. You're like, what's your why? But you had to have a connection because so many of us look for motivation outside of ourselves. And we're like, oh, when I'm waiting for motivation to come. Well, motivation ain't going to ring your doorbell and be like, hey, girl, get in the car. We're going. I mean, I wish, because sometimes I need that. But if I have a why, if I have a reason of why I'm doing this and that why is strong enough, that's my motivation. That's my discipline. That's what's going to get me to keep moving forward when I don't want to. And come on, we all have those I don't want to days. And then, I have to make a plan. So many people just like, one of my biggest pet peeves is when I ask a client, like, oh, so how come your food didn't happen this week? Well, this is what happened and I didn't get this and I didn't. I'm like, so you didn't have a plan? And they're like, no. And, planning isn't this like, I have to map out like at 9:05, I do this, at 9:15, I do this. It's like, just sit down and just say, what should the day look like? Many of us plan vacations more than we plan a day, right? We take painstakingly efforts to plan our vacations, but to sit down and plan like a 24-hour period, you would think that, I'm inviting you to go to Syria the way we're trying to make a plan. And then lastly, it has to be sustainable, right? Can I do this for 30 days, 90 days, 30 years? And that's how I work with my clients to approach change. It's like, it's not this like all or nothing. It's not this, it has to be this laundry list of things. It's just, okay, what is possible for you right now in this moment? And we work from there.
Yeah, I like that. I want to go back to what you were talking about in terms of motivation. And somewhere there is a book out called Tiny Habits. And
yeah, I love that book.
And one of the things that he talks about is when you're trying to incorporate something new into your routine, that when it comes to motivation, like especially something like a treadmill, anything that's treadmill like, that you incorporate a reward as part of the habit. So, for instance, if you had a favorite podcast that you just love listening to, like serial, that's a serial, like a storytelling thing that you're going, oh yeah, I really want to hear that next episode. So you just make it as part of the promise of like, okay, well, if I get on my treadmill thing, if I start doing that
Yes.
treadmill exercise, whatever that is, even if it's not an actual literal treadmill, it's just this other thing that I'm not looking forward to. When I do that, that is when I get to listen to my podcast. And so you're
A
going,
thousand
oh,
percent.
yes, of course I want to do it, because if I do it, I'm going to hear my favorite. I'm going to hear the resolution of the next episode.
Yeah.
So when you're working with clients or with yourself, do you have examples of that kind of add-on to, simple tasks?
Right. So I'm going to give you two different scenarios. So the first one is like we are habits, right? There's certain habits that we do that we don't even think about. So this morning when people got up and they made coffee, no one thinks about putting the cream and the sugar or sugar before the cream. Like, or do you put the cream and sugar and then you put the coffee? Like no one thinks about that, but that's what happens. It's because it's just habit. So when clients are trying to create that new habit, I'm like, okay, what are something that you like? So you talked about you like the podcast Serial. So it's like, okay, every time I listen to Serial, it's going to be when I'm, at the gym working out or on the treadmill, right? So that's my reward. But what's the cue? So it's like the cue is like, okay, my cue is I want to lose weight. I know that being on the treadmill is what is going to make it happen. And so the reward is listening to Serial. And so for people who are trying to make changes and they're a little reluctant, it's like trying to put new habits in where things are already ingrained. So, a lot of people don't drink water. And they're always like, I wish I could drink more water. And so one of the simple tasks I say is like, all right, well, every morning we brush our teeth. So if we had a glass, bottle, whatever you want in your bathroom, and every time you finish brushing your teeth, you started drinking water, you started your day off with water. Or if you drink coffee, you could tell yourself my reward is coffee, and so I'm going to have a glass of water, and I get to have a cup of coffee after I finish my water. So inserting new things into things you already have established as habits is like the best way to go about doing it.
Yeah, I love that. And another piece that I'm just pulling out from the ether, and I don't actually remember where this came from. I actually think this came from somebody I was listening to on a podcast, and they just shared this as an anecdote. But they were talking about doing things as a routine that could be seen as really difficult. And what this guy said was like, yeah, I mean, people get these really, blown out, much bigger than is realistic ideas about what they're going to take on with a new habit. So in terms of exercise, it could be like, I'm going to do 50 push-ups a day or 100 or some large number like that.
Yes.
And this guy said, what he did was he promised himself that he would do one each day, just one. And he said the effect was that if I did it, because one is a really tiny number, your brain is going, that's no problem. Of course I can do one. And so you get down to do one. And of course, putting yourself in motion, you're much more likely to do maybe two or three. And so he was saying, I do this, I do one. And what happens is that some days I'm feeling energetic and I'll do a number of them. I'll do as many as I can do without stopping, whatever that number happens to be. And on other days when I'm either in a super hurry or I'm not feeling it, I'll just do one. And either way, it's okay because I'm keeping my promise to myself.
Exactly. And it's funny. I love that. And so a lot of times, my clients are A++ with a side of A++. And so I'm a recovering A++ with a side of A++. So if anyone's having meetings, holla. What I had to do to break myself of that like all or nothing mentality was come up with what I call good, better, best. And I don't know if I came up with it on my own or I'm usurping it from somebody else. So just in case someone calls me out. Good, better, best is like, if I were to say doing that push-up challenge, what would be a good day? Is it 5? And I'm like, all right, I'm going to do 5 every day. And that's good. Better is better 10 and is best 20. And so based on like the guy said, some days you have all the energy in the world or time, and you don't want to like blow it off. Because if I said I was going to do 20 and I wasn't feeling it, it's really easy to blow off the 20. But if I said, like he said, like, oh, it's only 5. I can do 5. I can do 1 an hour over the course of the day, and I'll have my 5 done. And so when my clients kind of get into that, like, the all or nothing, like, I used to think like, if I didn't work out 2 hours, why work out? And so I was like, no, like something is better than nothing. So that's where I came up with good, better, best. Like, what's will make you feel good, what will make you feel better, and what will make you feel the best.
Yeah, that's great. All right. So just let's pull this into the perspective of this particular moment in time. So we've
Yeah, this
all
is an interesting
had
time.
one interesting heck of a year this past year. And in your case, like you're working in the fitness industry. And so the fitness industry has, for the most part, taken a giant hit. And,
Mm,
some of my clients have been people like yoga instructors whose entire livelihood was being done in person in yoga studios. And, March of 2020, every single one of those studios closed. And the same with gyms, and the same with
mm-hmm.
any kind of group fitness program that was done in person, or even personal trainers who are meeting with people one-on-one. So, and then on the other hand, you've got a whole lot of people who have been stuck at home, and the amount of physical activity that they would do just in their normal routine has been hugely reduced. So can you just speak to both your own experience of like the pivots and changes that you've had to go through in this last year, as well as what you're seeing with your clients?
So I am very fortunate that my business was pretty virtual before I started, before Rona started. I worked in the Back Bay for a really long time, and a lot of my clients were women who summered, or they traveled, and so you know, I had to find a way to like keep my income going when they were traveling or away for the summer. And so I started virtually personal training probably about 10 years ago. And so 80% of my business is online. And so when Corona came, it wasn't as much of a shock for me and or a shock for my clients because they were already working out virtually with me. So I was fortunate that I had that place. I also was teaching classes, and it was I have a few corporate clients that I teach in person, and for them, they were, I think the first like week and a half, everyone's kind of like, we're only going to be home for 2 weeks, and so everything kind of was like on pause, and then we're like, oh crap, it's not 2 weeks. What do we do? And so it was just a matter of like, will the people who normally would come in person, would they do a virtual class? And I was like, yeah, nothing to lose. We're all home, so, and they all like to work out, so it was and for me, I like the in-person piece, like when I teach, just to like understand, if you understand and connect with me. But it's been a new challenge to connect this way. And I guess, like, I've already been on social media for a while. And so I guess I already knew, I'm like, well, I could connect with strangers. So I should be able to connect with people that I've already met in person. So it wasn't too much of a pivot for me, but I can see a lot of other people kind of were flat on their backs trying to figure out this new world order. Like, how do you get your clients to go from, that, especially yoga, that, community place, to it now being like a live stream?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's it's been a really interesting, I mean, yes, and it's been a really interesting challenge, but it's also, what I find is that it's opened up big
Mm,
opportunities. The people who, like yourself, that first of all, the people who were smart or who were already doing virtual coaching with folks, were like, fine. Like,
yeah.
this is not that big a challenge. And for the rest of everyone, the ones who have been creative and have been actually willing to take the risk and change and do the new thing, they've been kind of pleasantly surprised by what's possible. And
Yeah.
we're lucky in the sense that in this moment of time, because of the tools that we have and because of, say what you want about social media and the large entities that run those sites,
Yeah, exactly.
which is not at all positive, or I should say it's not all positive by any stretch of the imagination.
Right.
However, by being able to use Zoom and or what we're doing right now, like we're multicasting to LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube simultaneously, this is a way to engage with people from all over the place and
Yeah,
in larger
exactly.
numbers. So, for example, if you are been used to working out in a gym or
Mm,
in a yoga studio or a dance studio or anything like that, you've been limited to just the physical space and how many people can fit in the room, and that they all have to live somewhere nearby in order
right.
to come and participate. But now, one of the people that I was working with is a local yoga teacher by the name of David Magone. And he's one of the more popular teachers in this area. And in fact, he does certification for other yoga teachers.
Mm,
He's kind of at the top of his game in many ways. And when he first, like we were started working together right in that same time, the spring of 2020. And the first time that he offered a virtual class, I think he said something like $600 for his first session, which he was going, when I work in a studio and I do a
you're
session,
right.
I do not make $600. Like
No.
the studio takes a big share and I get the rest.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's not like, so anyway, he was just going, this is amazing. Like I had no idea. I don't know why I haven't been doing this before. So it's really
Yeah.
interesting transition.
Well, I think a lot of people, when the virtual thing came, it's what you did. You fitness hustled, right? You went from studio to gym to studio, wherever whatever your passion was, and you went from gym to gym to gym, and that's how you made your money. And then virtually, like, wait, hang on. So I just go down to my basement for a couple hours a day, and then I'm done, or then I'm just supporting my clients, via email. I'm like, I'm all in. Like I could be a hermit and still have my passion. And so I think for many people, it just started to realize like, okay, so now like I get more time in my day because I would literally spend like I would give myself an hour to get to class so that I was on time and public transportation being what it is. And now I'm like, I teach at noon. Oh, 11:45. Let me go downstairs.
Yeah, right. All right. So we're about at the end of our time. It goes by really quick,
It
especially when we're
does.
having a good conversation like this one. And so if you had just one piece of motivation to share with folks who are feeling it, are going, oh no, I don't know what to do. What would you care to share with them?
Sticking with the change topic, you know, change is small. Change is sustainable, right? And so how I kind of started how we started this is that I came up with a Fit Girl Magic formula. Great habits lead to great routines. Great routines lead to consistency, and consistency leads to results. And you can run that formula no matter what it is: health, fitness, life, relationships. It all works. We need great habits so that we can build great routines and ultimately get the results that we're all looking for.
Yeah, and if anyone wants to follow up with you and learn the Fit Girl Magic Formula, what's the best way for them to do that?
You can find me all over the place. I have my website, which is kimbarnesjefferson.com. You can find me on Instagram, Kim Jefferson Coach, same as on Facebook.
All right. Well, this has been great. Thank you so much for joining on this kind of dismal Bostonian day. Really great to have this conversation. I think this is one of the better conversations that we need to have right now.
Yeah.
All
Well,
right.
thank you
And
so much for finding me.
yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. I'm really glad we had this chance. So for you guys who are still here, I want you to know that we go live every week at this time, Thursday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You can join the live stream show. And if you want to catch all the episodes, last week I had Ashley Paré on, and she was episode number 20. And we talked about how to own your worth. And if you want to catch that episode, I mean, it was a great, great discussion about how you can be strong and powerful in the critical negotiations of your life, whether it's, lobbying for a higher wage, asking a client for a fee that is actually what you deserve, and or at home when you are negotiating with your partners and family around who does what around the house, who takes care of the kids, that kind of thing. Anyway, fabulous conversation, really valuable. It's especially for women. It's a very important time to be talking about these kinds of things and this opportunity that we all have to make the world this more egalitarian place. So if you want to catch all of that, go to thelivestreamshow.com and subscribe to the audio version of all of this, and you can get the whole thing. You can binge listen to all of the live stream show right over there. So thanks for joining, and we'll see you in the next video.